Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is another fun-filled episode of The Other Side of Ropes. I'm Red, aka Shaka, sub moniker Black Magic. And if anybody remember the last bit we did, we're talking about the whole debate about backyard wrestling. Well, remember that thread I was talking about a couple of days ago? Doing a little checking, and now, believe it or not, the thread is about maybe over 300 comments strong. Over, between vets and people who've yarded, people who didn't know who the other people were. It involved a couple of promoters, veteran promoters. As a matter of fact, one of those promoters were tied in with the Monster Factory. If anybody don't know who that is, that's Larry Sharp. And Larry Sharp, his school for maybe over 30 years, maybe a little bit more than that, was what you want to call like a finishing school. Like, you go to one school and learn your basics, and you'll go to somebody like Larry Sharp to polish your skills, accentuate your stuff. Because if you're going to go to that next level, as in television, okay, naturally you have to have a voice to work on the stick, the mic, and of course work in front of a camera. If you're going to do interviews or whatever, that sort of thing. That's what Monster Factory is about. And I do know a few graduates. Another graduate school, so to speak, for wrestling was Johnny Rods, or if you know him as Java Rook. And if you're not too familiar with him, some of his students, anybody remember Taz? Yeah. In fact, Tommy Dreamer. And I've had the honor of working one of his, having a match with one of his students, Kid USA. This is starting off in maybe a year and a half in. And hey, these guys knew their stuff. This is up in New York and whatnot. Okay, just saying. And some schools were also finishing schools wrapped up in one after you get through with the basics. But the whole thing was, people were trying to, naturally, the backyarders were trying to figure out, we're doing this. What's the harm in it? And they didn't realize, with anything you do, there are repercussions that you have to take. There are certain things you have to take accountability for. What they don't know is, back when it was still WWF, there was one such child. Everybody figures, it's not going to be me, no problem, I'm not going to get hurt. Now, if anybody remember watching the stuff, they had the disclaimer, warning, the following show has, as things performed by highly trained professional athletes, is not recommended to be imitated in any action whatsoever in a home. This is what I grew up with. Of course, by then, they just turned it into a whole dramatic thing and don't try this at home. But boys being boys, they're full, young, dumb, and full of, they're hormonal. They're not going to listen. They figure they're in that age, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm not going to get hurt. It's not going to happen to me. I'm bulletproof. I'm invincible. Well, I remember one show, and at the time, the athletic commissioner, the late Frank Talent, this is back in, actually it was about 10 years ago, one of the last shows I worked in Philadelphia for like 3 years. And he told us, he didn't say which hospital. You go to a ward, you got kids up there, they're banged up, beyond banged up. We're talking FUBAR, as in paraplegic, quadriplegic, just done. Doing backyard. Now, what led to this? Years prior to this, again, this is back when it was still WWF. And yeah, before it was even called backyard, before they put a name to it, kids were doing it. Like I said, back in my time, I had a classmate had a complete cardboard replica of the UWF television title he gave to me. For something I did, and he gave me a hookup. Well, it's probably dust by now, but it looked good, you know. And it was cardboard, done up marker and everything. Looked great. Ironically, the closest I get to seeing a replica like that was the Deutsche Wrestling Alliance tag titles. Look exactly like that. But I digress. Going back to this whole thing, we had backyard, but like I said, when I grew up, there were no backyards. And just so you know, if we were so much to get caught by any of our parents doing that, we getting our asses whipped. We had more sense than that. In this particular case, one kid did that, pulled off a stunt. Oh yeah, I can do that. And got tore up. Now, the kicker to this, folks, his parents had deep pockets. We talking rich. So they tried to go after Vince McMahon. Remember what those disclaimers I was talking about? Hey, we got the disclaimer. So we can't help you if he did this. He did it on his own volition. So they figured, well, we got deep pockets, but our kid, our child, our son, he's this, that, he's incapacitated. Somebody's head's going to roll. Nobody wanted to take the responsibility, accountability for this. Not the kid, not his parents. So somebody's going to turn around. Somebody's got to pay for it. He's already paying. You can sue the pants off of whoever you want. It's not going to make him walk again. So they taking a step above Vince. They took it to state legislature. And somebody mentioned, okay, it's not illegal because the cops are going by. You know what? You're right. Because it's not the police's jurisdiction. It's the state. You have the police. You have the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. Remember I said Frank Talent? That's his department. But see, he's not going to jump on you as long as you don't turn around, advertise, and it's a gate show. Now, if it's just a backyard, okay, it's local, but you guys got to realize the ramifications behind this. And here's the repercussions to this. That family turned around and eventually went to the Athletic Commission. And they had to cut stiffer laws. And they took it out on the legit promotions that actually turn around, that are actually doing something for a living. And what happened? They stiffened the laws. So now, here's the deal. The wrestlers don't have to get licensed in Pennsylvania. Promoters do. The bond you got to take out is $10,000. And then there's still a matter of insurance. That's $1 million bond. So you're wondering why you're not going to get paid if you're in PA? Those are your two reasons, because of that lawsuit with that one kid about the parents with the deep pockets. They stiffened the laws. They regulated it. They're not going to take it out on us until you get to the point where, okay, you got to have a doctor. Even in exhibitions, you have to have a doctor. So now, here's the deal. You don't have any of those. You get caught doing a show. There's fire, there's blood, and you don't stop the match. Any wrestler that's caught in a show that has not been sanctioned, that had nothing to do with the State Athletic Commission, where they didn't get advertised and it was a gate show. In other words, people are paying tickets and they know about it and they see you there, you're blackballed. That means you're not going to wrestle a show in Pennsylvania ever again because of that lawsuit. This is the reason why we have a problem. And they were slamming people who were like, let's see, tied in with, I mentioned Larry Sharp, the promoter. Another promoter was also a wrestler who was an ECW original. I'm not going to name any names, but I will give a hint. This man has been in wrestling about as long as these guys have been breathing. Around it, he broke in when these cats were born, and he was trained by the Rock and Roll Express. And they asked, what have he done? What has he ever done for wrestling, for the business? He has a license. So anybody in Pennsylvania that needed his help, he rented out his license and he gets booked. That's not that bad of a deal. And when I say ECW original, we're not talking about like when it got big before Vince bought it. We're talking about when it was Tri-State Wrestling, Not when Heyman had a thing to do with it. We're talking about when Joel Goodhart had something to do with it, when it was called Tri-State Wrestling, which is before it was called Eastern Championship Wrestling. Y'all can go ahead and do the research on that one if you want to. Now, if you're going to sit up there and stink on this guy, that's total disrespect because you don't know who he is because he wasn't on TV when you knew about him. Come on. You're going to sit up there and land on this cat. Now, I wrestled a guy before, and I don't care if I've been in an MMA cage or not. I'm going to tell you right now, all the respect I have in the world for this guy, I would not ever cross him. Out of respect. You want to talk about what happened if you sit up there and try to break in? Let's put it this way. Florida Championship Wrestling, when, let's see, I think it was Eddie Graham was a promoter before he died. Guys come off the street and they said they wanted to break into wrestling. You know what he did? He'll take his policeman. Policeman is an old school term. This is the guy that really knew his stuff. You don't want to cross him. You get in the ring with this guy, he's going to share you every which way but loose. And he'll actually break something. Well, Eddie Graham's in the back watching all this, and he's getting his jollies off the whole thing. That's how nasty it was back then. This is the territories, the tail end of it. You get these guys, you guys don't understand the ramifications, what the repercussions are of your actions. You can say, sure, what's Backyard's going to do? This is after the fact. Then you're going to disrespect the guy that came before you. Let's put it another way. Are you going to go to I. Goldberg, get full camouflage, get the boots, go somewhere else, and get an M16, and get a Kevlar helmet and call yourself a soldier? That doesn't make you a soldier, man. No. You got to go to the whole process of going to the recruiting office. You got to take the ASVAB test. You got to pass the physicals. You got to get sworn in. And you got to go to basic training. If you make it through the whole 8 weeks, fine. You're a soldier. In name, you still got to go through your specialty because it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be infantry. Me, I was a medic. I'm just saying. But you can't get all that stuff and call yourself a soldier. This is what the vets are trying to tell you. You don't sit up there and you can get a ring. You got enough money, sure any damn fool can get a ring, but you still got to get the training. That's what they're saying. You got to go through the proper steps. Now, some of my boys turn around and said, leave him alone. Yeah, I can understand they got to start somewhere, but you got to do it right. You can't just go to one and then step back. You can't do it that way. Now, I don't talk about it too much, but the guy that I started off with, and I didn't know until after the fact, he started with the Samoans. He started with Alpha. Pops, as we call him. Now, something happened when he went overseas to Germany and he crossed Alpha. Back then, you do something like that and you can get blackmailed. You can get blackballed. I didn't know this. Okay? But after then, I got out of that and I had enough sense to go to the next legit gym to get my stuff straight. But I learned. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't Backyard. Even then, the guy was legit, but then again, the way he was going about it wasn't. But I eventually went to the legit thing, and after that, you stay humble. If you really want to show an interest, you stay around, help break the ring down, whatever. I've done ring crew. I got some cases I got paid better as ring crew, better than I did working a show. It happens. That's a whole nother ball game. I'll get into that in another column. But in the meantime, this may be a part 3, but I think I probably got my point across at this particular point. The rest of the end of the day is semantics. Shout out to my people out in the west, southeast, up in the north, up in the northeast, over in oh my gosh, this is how worked up I am. Over in Europe, you know what I'm talking about. PT Player, T-Tola, Tommy Stevens, Ginger Snap, Milkshake, Jim, Vicky, Woo, Drewy, Bull, Lori, all you guys over in Belgium and Holland, Inderdaad. My people over in Deutschland, V Gates. I may not be able to make it, by the way. I got some business I got to take care of that weekend, so I'm not going to make it to Rothenburg, and I'm not going to make it to Vuma. I have my deepest apology. If y'all had to get it through here, I'll probably reinforce it later on. The rest of my regular cast of characters, you know who you are. I love you all. But right now, I want to make sure I get my stuff out straight because you know the deal. It's getting too close to that 15-minute mark, and YouTube ain't going to take it if I do it that way, and I hate having to shoot this again at this time of night. And for the record, it's about 20 after 3 in the morning. and I'm going to finish my coffee. On that note, as always, I'm Red. This is the other side of ropes. We're going to do Top Rope Radio, and it's been real. Incense. I'm out, people. Peace.